Hi, good morning. Welcome to a new episode of ETRetailCafe by ETRetail, where we cover the retailers, their journey, and what new they are doing, how it has been for them. So today we are capturing the journey of a retailer who has been in the footwear industry since 1996. We have with us Anupam Bansal, who is the ED of Liberty Shoes. Hi, Anupam. Welcome to a new episode of ETRetailCafe.
Good morning. Pleasure meeting you.
So tell me, how has been your journey in retail like? What was the idea behind joining retail and then specifically footwear category?
So Liberty came into existence in 80s where the retail was not so refined and we were doing transformational things, taking inspiration from Bata at that point of time. During the late 90s, the retail was getting, upgraded with a lot of MNCs coming into the picture, the new mall culture. And we thought in our model of franchise, where franchisee was running like a mom and pop store, even though it was an exclusive brand stores, there were no malls. But the experience, what we saw in the modern world, was not getting delivered to the Liberty customer. From 96, when I joined, till about almost 2003, we were struggling to upgrade all our franchise network, giving them various training programs, various VM upgradation. But it was such a big challenge to upgrade because it costed a lot of money. And to give an experience, we had to have control on the whole retail network. So that's the time after learning from all the franchise network, visiting all stores. In fact, I remember visiting almost 50 cities every year, 2 times in a year, meeting all retail stores and getting on hand customer insights and the channel partner insight. And we realized that it will be impossible to upgrade the channel partners and looking at the investment because the business model was such where franchisee had to invest in the retail infrastructure. So in 2003, we set up our own retail company, which I started heading, to set up COCO stores, to create inspiration for the franchise stores to showcase what Liberty can do, what the customer can see, what are the experience standards, and not really focusing at profitability in the first phase. Setting up stores in the malls was expensive. So that's the journey. So there was a lot of learning in the previous and a lot of implementation. While it was a very difficult journey from 2002 to 2010, where the rentals were crazy, the footfalls to the malls were difficult, malls were getting established. So it's a good mix of things where we learned and exhibited and experimented with a lot of things.
So you have very remarkably taken the brand to new heights. But what inspired you to be in the retail industry?
Retail has been always fascinating, and I feel most of the brands do best with customer engagement. And I think the idea was to move from the manufacturing thought process to a more consumer mind thought process. And I think as a marketeer, because I was taking care of marketing, implementation of customer insight was most important. And the place retail is where all get put together. Where the customer and the product meets and you learn every day new things. So I think that's quite inspiring, and engaging with customer is something what we really like.
So when you started the retail exactly, so how was the customer experience expectation different as compared to how it is today?
To be very honest, it's a long period and it has transformed quite a bit. So I remember our COCO store, the first store was at Inorbit Mall in Malad, which was almost the mall at that point of time, launched with like a fashion show. And we had series of 8 stores launching every week with fashion show done with all Miss Indias and the top models in almost whole India, in Hyderabad, Chennai, Jaipur. So getting everybody to travel, get the store ready, and it had to be a fashion destination. We wanted to convert a product from a mere necessity to a fashion accessory. So that was the brand journey at that point of time, and it was really, really exciting. So what we were doing in 2003, if I look at in 2023, we almost do the same thing. So it is not that It has changed over the period of time, how to connect with fashion, how to connect with consumer. So you're doing almost the same thing. The levels have changed. So today, what was futuristic at that point of time, today it is becoming more real. I think that's the difference. So from strategy point of view, I don't think so much has changed. Challenges come with that, with the cost of implementing it consistently, and the consumer takes its own time to change. How people transform from, going from a neighborhood store to a mall, and now from mall to online, sitting at home. So the customer keeps on evolving, and how the brand keeps on evolving with the changing times is only what we can implement.
Okay, you must have faced a lot of challenges. A few you have already talked about during the journey. That was at that point of time. What are the challenges you face today, and how do you address them?
See, today I think the biggest challenge I would see is people, whereby people from both perspectives, from the customer service executive. Footwear is a challenging industry where the customer expectation is to bow down, make them try the shoes, quickly rush into the store, bring it back, where traditional people are willing to do that exercise, while there was a slightly more lower strata of society dealing with it. And they're typically not educated. And the moment you start taking educated people to do so, they are not so inclined to do that kind of a customer service. So keeping people motivated and feeling pride in doing that job is something which is, I feel, the biggest challenge. While we are expanding in tier 2, tier 3 markets, customer has evolved. To keep customer engaged, educated, and build that bonding and relationship is, I think, the biggest challenge I feel. How do we keep the retail stores upgraded and updated pan-India is definitely a challenge, which is not a easy task for an Indian company. We don't have crazy amount of budgets which an MNC can have, looking at the worldwide presence they have. So for an Indian brand, it becomes a challenge to bring up to those expectations.
So how do you tackle those challenges? There were challenges earlier also. You must have grabbed some learnings from them, and you must be implying them now to face tackle the challenges. So what were those learnings, and how are you actually tackling these challenges now?
So I think, like I said, the learnings are very consistent. It's a gradual movement of a consumer to believe in Indian brands to begin with. Typically, maybe India was ruled by Britishers. So imported was always considered a fad. Whatever we may do, even a product coming from China, the moment it is imported, nobody wants to compare. Imported is always better. So I think that challenge of made in India or Indian brand is always there. And we keep on working towards it to make it more fashionable to wear Indian. And I think post-COVID, I have seen a big transformation where people really, really respect Indian brands. They have better belief in Indian brands. While I am very clear that top quality products, some of the international products are amazing, but we should not just lose out to cheap imports also. So I think that's a big challenge of consumer mind space, which will evolve over a period of time, not instantly.
So there was a time when Make in India brands, there were brands only that were made here in India only. Then globalization happened and lots of international companies entered India. And now again, there has been focus upon Make in India. So how was your journey during all the phases? Was there a challenge in between when the foreign players started entering the arena? Or is it better now? Was it better at that point of time?
So I would like to start with a mixed bag.
Yeah.
In 90s, when we introduced our maiden brand Force 10, it was competing with Reeboks and Adidas and Nike, and I think we were even higher priced than all these brands, and I think we competed with them very well, and we came across as a clear winner because we understood the Indian pulse and market, and they were not even focusing on it. If you look at the 2000s, it still was a good, because the price play was, I think, in our advantage to compete with certain products, and they had to kind of really discount it to make it dear. If I look about now, I think it's a whole transformation which we need to do. The Indian consumer has evolved. They are willing to pay a much higher price, which gives us enough bandwidth to upgrade our quality, upgrade our standards and the customer offering, which was not available earlier. So constantly we need to keep on evolving. So while we have to take inspiration from all the international brands in terms of high quality they bring in, at the same time, learn from what is the right space available for an Indian brand in vis-a-vis the industry, I think, which we need to keep on evolving every 3 to 4 years.
So when you were talking about the challenges, you said the foremost challenge these days is to get the right stuff to actually be at the stores and help the consumers. So what are the qualities that you look for in-store staff and your back-end staff to have specifically to take the brand to new heights along with you?
See, definitely front-end staff becomes even more important because they are interfacing with the customer. Yeah. And as far as the back-end staff is concerned, over there, the skill is more important and not really interface with the customer. So I think they require both different set of skills. And as far as back-end is concerned, we are evolving more as a technology company to analyze the data, what needs to be done. It's more SOP driven. And while front-end, while there are a lot of SOPs, but the customer interface cannot be really driven by SOPs. So I think it's a very different skill set. We are a lot more evolved as far as backend is concerned in terms of bringing technology of the product. We need to constantly focus on design development with the evolving consumer. And now the fashion cycles have also shortened. Yeah. Earlier, we were almost 2 to 3 years late compared to the world standards. Now we're about 6 months behind, and sometimes at the same time the fashion is getting introduced. So we need to be more aggressive, more upfront, more, on the toes all the time to bring the latest into the country.
So 3 qualities that you are actually weaving into your employees to make them the future of the future CEOs or of the future of the footwear industry.
So I would keep on focusing on one, happiness. So I think if they're happy, they will keep on growing with the organization. So all my ecosystem for people revolves around happiness. And the second is how much can I delegate to them so that they feel empowered and becoming responsible in whatever they are doing and they are deciding. So I think if I just keep on focusing on these 2 things, rest of the things come automatically.
So you were a part of the manufacturing industry earlier with Liberty only, and when we talk about manufacturing, there's a lot of technology which goes into. So the newest technology when it entered, was it a boon for you or a bane for you, and how did it help you maybe develop the better footwear for the consumers?
So definitely, I would always say in future, technology or everything what happens is always for good. It is never for bad. So we need to be always optimistic, positive in the thought process. And the changes which bring in the consumer is something which we can't always feel bad about. Whether it was COVID, for me, I don't want to say that the COVID was boon, but you need to see opportunity coming out of it. So I always see positivity coming from everything. For sure, there were few things which was not so good. There were a lot of lives which were lost. But at the same time, as a brand, we need to look at the positive things which come out of it. And how do you make that as your strength? And whatever negative comes out of it, how do you leave it in the past and overcome those weaknesses?
So tell me one more thing. I want to know about technology is moving at a rapid pace. And you have been adopting technology and changing along with the times. What if it takes your job one day? What will you do?
Very interesting question, and I think I've spoken at 1 or 2 forums earlier. While Liberty is very, very upfront in absorbing the technology, we were the first one to introduce SAP way back in 2000 at the turn of the millennium. That was the biggest project we took. Today, we still keep on investing into technology in terms of AI. At the same time, I'm very confident that technology can't be replaced by people. There are some lower end jobs which can be. So definitely, as a brand, we need to keep on absorbing that technology all our time. At the same time, we don't want to become slave to the technology. I don't think people can ever be replaced. Whatever AI can, translate the data, if people don't put their emotion, human touch to it, I don't think so the data makes sense. So I think people can never be replaced.
And retail is almost everything about human touch and feel, look, experience. I mean, if it's not there, then how the retail is going to work?
Absolutely. So I would like to use two references. I think everybody uses Google Maps. I was recently going to Jaipur with this new highway, which is, everybody knows it's a very short route. It was early days, so Google had not updated that. If I wouldn't have looked at the signboards and I would have just followed the technology, probably I would have gone the wrong way. Very, very clear where technology is important. At the same time, your eyes and ears need to be open to look at few directions rather than just believing in the technology. Other point I would like to make, especially very important for the retail. There are still enough people who like to go and touch and feel the product, smell the product, try it on and then consume it. I would not really want people to just sit in the metaverse in their room, in a dark room with their sunglasses on and feeling everything. So for me, it is important for touch and feel. It is something, what is the difference between love and sex? So love is something which you feel emotionally with touch and feel. And it is not really about just executing it without any emotion. So retail has to be with touch and feel, and I think soon will be the time when people will just be coming out. And I've seen those trends coming in post-COVID also. While convenience is important, it is good for commodity-like products, especially dealing in fashion. People like to go out. People like to sit in the retail store, talk to the salesman, even asking him what is latest. While we all know salesmen may not know the latest and you would know the latest. But I think that conversation makes the shopping experience really pleasurable.
So when you say Metaverse, so you have no plans to enter Metaverse or maybe try your hands over there? Because a lot of retailers are actually dipping their fingers and trying to understand how it is going to shape up.
It is not that we don't want to be part of the ecosystem. It is not that I don't want to have an online store. I should not make it convenient for me. But I don't want to overindulge into it and make people feel that only Metaverse is the future. So I feel we should keep a track of technology, but let's not overinvest. My experience with technologies, if we keep on overinvesting, every 3 months they get obsolete. And consumer is not willing or even not looking at absorbing that kind of technology. So I think we should not waste money there. At the same time, what is relevant, keep on absorbing that.
So it is just a channel,
It's just a channel. So for example, if there are some people who are completely updated on social media, on Instagram, knowing the latest trends, definitely they are not better off with a lot of people compared who don't even look at social media. And they're equally, I would say, updated on trends. So we need to see it as a mixed bag. So it's not that people who are not on social media, they don't know about fashion. And if they go only to the malls, I think these are just mediums to absorb information and knowledge. And everybody consumes it differently.
Very finely said. I mean, I agree. Everybody knows what they want and that is what they look forward to. So where the consumer is more evolved? I've heard a lot about the tier 2 and tier 3 consumers is evolving. What sort of changes have you seen in your brand when it comes to consumer from tier 2 and tier 3?
See, earlier tier 2, tier 3, because of non-availability, because of convenience, they would not even explore the products. They'll wait for one fine day to come to a tier 2 or a tier 1 market, experience that. Today they know while they're sitting there, if they have party 4 days down the line, they can order online. And they can always, look at their bigger bulk shopping later on. So the consumer has evolved. They are willing to experiment. At the same time, when they experiment, they are looking at availability as a advantage rather than as, we couldn't have done it earlier. So there are mixed bags. So there are advantages to availability, which will help the retail business to increase sales, to increase profitability. While they would still come to a metro town to explore new things.
They want to experience the things and then maybe replicate in their own cities.
It is something like Indians. A lot of people would only travel abroad for shopping in the luxury segment. So now it is available. So it is not that they don't go out and shop. So they can shop in India, and also while they're traveling abroad, rather than shopping as an agenda completely while you were traveling abroad.
So I mean, I guess we human have this habit. Wherever we go, we have to pick something from there.
Sure, absolutely. And at the same time, the consumption has gone up because in times they wanted something instantly and they were not traveling. Those are the times which are replaced by while they are in their hometown. So I see that as a consumption enabler rather than an opportunity.
So when you have lots of consumer insights, how are you shaping Liberty for the future consumers, and how do you think where it is going to go maybe 5 years down the line?
So the challenge with Liberty will always be, as a legacy brand, while I would like to mature very finely, the challenge would be to always become younger, because India is a young economy. India is becoming younger year by year. Consumer is evolving. I remember when we were introducing the shoes for the first time in India, the mechanized shoes. Our job was that one mechanized shoe, you pay higher price because it goes with everything. You can wear the same shoe to office. You can wear the same shoe for work. You can take it for a party, or even go to a jogging track on this. That was the campaign of our first shoe which we introduced. And today, if I look at it, the consumer is the same, but now we want to increase their consumption and saying you need to have a different shoe for your when you come out of bed. You need to have a different shoe when you go for a jog. You need to, even if your way of jogging is different. If you're walking, you have a different shoe. If you're jogging, you have a different shoe. If you go to gym, you have a different shoe. If you're playing soccer, it's a different shoe. Then office is a different shoe. Parties are a different shoe. Good night is a different shoe. So I think the consumer is evolving. How you market to the person depending on the need of today, I think that is most important to understand. And for today, making our brand younger, connecting to the youth is the most relevant thing. While I understand right now I'm trying to bring the age to, I think, 20s. We are still not able to even touch the teens today, which is also such a big market.
True that. I mean, you have a bright future going ahead. I mean, if you are catering to all the stratas of all the age groups, to be specific, here in India, then I mean, every other person is your consumer.
Sure.
I wish you all the best for the journey ahead. But before we close this interaction, I would love to have a rapid fire with you and want to know you much better. I won't be giving you time to think in this thing. I want to know who is your favorite retailer and why, or maybe the retail brand you admire a lot.
In today's context, what comes to my mind instantly is something like Forest Essential. I think they have redefined from product, from marketing, and I think as an Indian brand, taking Ayurveda, taking Indianness to a global standard is something what I really, really admire.
What do you prefer to do in your free time? Everybody knows Anupam Bansal is a person who is running the show at Liberty, but nobody knows what you do in your free time.
I love to travel. I like to go out to amazing restaurants. I like to watch movies. So I think I keep myself entertained a lot.
One hobby that you admire a lot and you have not told in public and you want to keep it to yourself only.
Oh my God, that's a tough one.
You are not supposed to think about it.
So at the moment, I wouldn't say it as a hobby, but I think spending time with family and creating a work-life balance is something which I'm really, really working on. I'm working on ideas to finish office early and have a completely relaxed time. Something like after 8, I don't even look at my phones, whether emails or WhatsApp. It rings, I don't even pick up.
So when you say there's a debate going on right now, 70-hour work culture, I mean, are you not a supporter of that then?
See, I'm supporter of work when there's work. I don't think so we should miss the work. But it should not over-influence your mind so that you stop looking at your surroundings, your family, and people you connect with. So being workaholic is something which I always support, and I think I keep on telling everybody to do that. At the same time, how do we create a balance to have more relaxed time, and the work should not take the rest. Why are you working at the end of the day? For your well-being. If you're not able to enjoy that money you make for yourself and your family, it doesn't make sense to work.
So there should be a balance between everything. So I want to know, are you a book reading person or a movie person, and why?
I wish I could read more. Somehow I always feel that movie is something which I always incline to. I hate to say that I have not read enough books, but I would love to read more books. At the moment, I like movies more.
Which is your favorite movie, and what have you learned from that?
So I think there are a lot of movies I like, and I think there are a lot of movies giving inspiration, and especially with some of the OTT platforms, the amount of documentaries I end up seeing, the successful people is something which is very inspiring. So you see amazing content, and I think one of the content I saw of the founders of Tesla, the Spotify, how you see their story, how they have transformed their technology journey from a traditional business to a transformed story. What are the challenges, struggles? So you learn a lot from each and every movie. I think the 21, how the calculation. So I think there's so many movies I can talk about, and I think most of them are for learnings itself.
So you're a movie buff that way. One quality of yours that you want other retailers to learn from you.
I feel keeping emotional touch is something which I would always like to talk about. While I am a great supporter of technology, to balance technology and people.
It was pleasure having you. I mean, I learned a lot from you, how you get inspired from others, how you take the learnings from the consumer behavior, and how are you employing everything here at Liberty. Thank you, Anupam, for being with us at ET Retail Cafe.
Thank you very much. Pleasure meeting you. Thanks, ETRetail.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this episode. And I must say, the first season of ET Retail Cafe. With this episode, we wrap up the first season of ET Retail Cafe, and we'll be back soon with season 2. Till then, wait and keep reading at ET Retail. We'll be back soon. Till then, bye-bye.